Hello and welcome to the program. The Ukrainian Parliament recently adopted a new law on traveling abroad with children. But what does it exactly mean for Ukrainian families and what will it change for the children? Now joining us in the studio to expand on this topic is Stanislav Kutsenko, head of the Kyiv Territory's Justice Department. Hello and thank you for joining us.
Hello.
So our first question, I went through the law, but maybe for the viewers to understand, in a nutshell, what are the changes brought by this law?
So first of all, I'm glad that members of parliament finally support the law on supporting children who need to be paid for alimonies, because it was a long struggle for us. As we adopted the first part of law, they have started to work from 6th of February, and actually we understood that we need some changes, and from 28th of August they will start to work. So the law come into force. So what are crucial changes that Ukrainians will feel according to this law? Mothers who live together with children, they will have chance to go with children abroad less than for 1 month without permission of father, let's say, because for sure we have situations when children stay with father, yes, and mother live this family. So now the person who wants to go abroad with child, this person don't need notarized permission to go with children abroad.
Because before that was the case, that this person,
yes,
this mother, or this person needed the permission from his
yes,
ex.
And actually we have cases when father, for example, even asked for money for such permission, and mother had to pay for children to go abroad. So now, if, for example, the person who left the family, if he has debts on alimony for 4 months, in this case, mother can go with child without such permission. She needs to send a recommended letter to such person who left the family, and in this case, she can go without notarized permission.
Why 1 month? Why this limit?
Because usually mother or father wants to go with child for rest, for example, to seashore for a couple of weeks, to 2 weeks, for example, and it's a normal situation. And some of parents who live with children, they didn't have such a chance because they didn't get permission. And now we don't have such obstacle. For example, if the debt is 3 months and child is disabled or has illness, in this case also no permission needed. Also, it is one more case when permission is not needed. For example, if the parent is a foreigner, father, for example, or nobody can find him, and he doesn't appear to the checkpoint at the border. In this case, also permission is not needed. In other cases, it is still needed, but also we have such situations when mother or father needs to go with child for more than 1 month.
Yeah, exactly. So does it need? What about lifting completely this permission? Why not completely lifting this idea of permission?
In this case, a person need to have decision of court or permission of governing body on social security on child. So if the person shows decision of court or such permission from body on social security on child, in this case, such person can go with child also abroad without any permission. But once again, I want to mention that the person should send recommended letter to other side in order for that person to be informed.
But if let's imagine a case where the other person is informed and doesn't want to comply with the whole court process, or doesn't want to, send back the letter, what happens in those cases? Because it looks like a long process, if I may, just for a short period of time.
So we have 2 situations. First, when you want to go less than for 1 month and longer for than 1 month. For example, if person wants to go for period longer than 1 month, in this case, usually a person plans her going abroad. In this case, she or he should have time to go to court, because now from 28th actually of August, the procedure in court should not take more than 2 months.
Okay.
Before this, it was much longer. So, for example, you plan your trip for next year, you need to think in advance, do you have any problems, and go to court. It is called a short procedure in court. And this step towards Ukrainians in order for them not to have obstacles to travel abroad with their children.
Can we imagine, for example, because in certain countries, like in certain Western countries, you don't need this permission at all to travel abroad. Is it a way for Ukraine or for the Ukrainian judiciary system to go towards some European standards or Western standards on that matter?
For sure, we try to stick to European standards, and it's a political view of our minister also, Pavlo Petrenko, because he's very proactive, pro-European, and I can say that this experience on alimonies we borrowed also from international experience, from United States, from European countries, and I cannot say that we have quite harsh conditions for people who are debtors on alimonies, because some countries are more cruel to debtors than Ukrainians, and they don't have a problem with debts on alimony at all. Because in Ukraine we still have a couple of billions of debts on alimonies, but because of that changes to laws, we hope that we will terminate the problem of debts on alimonies. And actually we have good results with first law. It is now for half a year acting this law, and actually we have good numbers. For example, we have more than 2 billion debts on alimonies given back to families, and due to new laws, it is almost half of this amount. So it showed that it is effective. And why? Because we issued, for example, more than 120,000 restrictions to going abroad for debtors, the same amount, almost the same amount on driving vehicles on period from 3 to 6 months. Also restriction for hunting and for using hunting weapon.
Yeah, of course.
And it works. And also we practice socially useful works. You know that in civilized countries, people who are even prominent, rich and influential, they also go to social useful works.
Now, that was for the technical part here, but on a more general topic, because this law is part of a package of reform concerning the rights of women and children, how does this new law, how does this new step protect the rights of children here?
For sure, we adopting these laws, we firstly thought about children, because we need to have economical freedom for them. So, from last year, children became the owners of money on alimonies. So, let's say they can decide themselves how to spend. So
it's directly redistributed to them. Okay.
Yes, they can decide on that money. For sure, we understand that, for example, a 6-year child cannot make a decision. But now he or she has chance to discuss with mother or father how to use that money. Because before this, the parent with whom children was left decided it's himself on that money, and children didn't have any rights on decision of that money. And I think that this a step forward to protecting children's rights, and they have become more independent. By the way, according to new law, will be raised minimal amount on money that children get. Now it is one minimum on living in Ukraine. Before this, it was half minimum. In hryvnias, it's like raising from 1,000 to almost 2,000 hryvnias.
So the double.
Twice.
But now this law, as you said, will pass in force at the end of August, in application at the end of August. What's next? What's the next step in this reform?
Actually, we plan to monitor the execution of this law, because second package of laws, they were caused because of practice on first package of law. For example, we had such problems that fathers, for example, that paid alimonies, they asked about possibility to meet children. But mothers, for example, prohibited to do this. Now we also protect fathers that left family, they have right, together with state executors, our employees, with governing body on social security of child, to visit children. They have right to sue to court on permission to visit and meet with children. And actually, the parent who lives with children, he or she would have administrative or criminal decisions on him or her if they don't let to meet children.
Okay, well then we will closely follow the next step of this reform. Thank you for joining us in the studio. It was a pleasure to have you explain this complicated law. That was Stanislav Kutsenko, head of the Kyiv Territorial Justice Department. Thank you for watching the program. Stay tuned for the rest.